The person I'm getting ready to talk about is somebody that most of us, I think, may remember, although everybody on that third row over there denies any knowledge. Y'all remember the Flip Wilson show? See all the heads nodding? See? I wasn't lying. Well, if you remember the Flip Wilson show, and for those that don't know, Flip Wilson was a comedian who had his own show years ago. In fact, it was the number 2 rated show in the whole nation of all TV shows at one time. He played several characters. It was like a variety show, and he played several characters. One of them was Geraldine Jones. He would put on a wig and a dress, you know, and one of the famous things that Geraldine would say was, "The devil made me do it." I don't say it quite like he did it, but. And I got to thinking about that, and I thought, I wonder how many people really feel that way. How many people really feel that the devil made me do it, like they have no control over their own actions? You know, consciously, unconsciously, every action we do is a choice. This is something that I say a lot in the youth classroom, the college classroom. Everything we do, every single thing we do, is by choice. In fact, every choice that we made has put us, and Banks is up there grinning because he knows what's happening, every single choice that we have made in our lives has put us right where we are this very moment. Think about that. Well, when we think about all the choices that we have to make for everything each day, we have to realize that we have a responsibility to God for every choice that we make. And God tells us that we are to control our speech and our actions. And to be pleasing to God, we've got to accept that responsibility and take responsibility for every choice that we make. Now, to be pleasing to God, you have to ask yourself several questions. Well, how do I make the right choice? Well, there's several things. Well, you might say, okay, I've got to recognize the wrong thing to do and just don't do it. Or you could say, well, I've got to recognize the right thing to do and make sure I do the right thing. Or you could go all out and say, well, I've got to refuse to do the wrong, I've got to be sure that I do the right, and then I'm good. But then there's another thing. We have to ask ourselves, what difference will my speech and my conduct have on people that are around me? What kind of influence am I going to be on the people around me? As Christians, we are told that we have to be concerned continually about our influence. Paul says in Romans chapter 12, verse 17, that we have to have regard for good things in the sight of all men. Another translation says, try to do what's honorable in everyone's eyes. So when you look at this, Christians are never to act and make choices just for themselves. We have to be sure that every single choice we make, we are demonstrating our obedience, demonstrating our love for them, demonstrating our love for Christ. And so tonight I just want to challenge you all with being aware of the fact that every decision that you make has an influence on others. And if we're aware of that, God will use us. God can use us powerfully in many situations. And tonight, if you're a Christian and you've made some bad choices and resulted on a bad influence on other people, make that right. If you've done that publicly, we give you the opportunity tonight to come forward and make it right publicly. Or if you need prayers, we're here to pray for you tonight. And this invitation song is going to be for you. And if you're here tonight and you're not a Christian, but you've heard the gospel and believe the gospel, and you believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and you repented of your sins, and you are ready tonight to confess Jesus as Lord, and you're ready tonight to be immersed in water for the forgiveness of your sins, and this invitation song's for you too. If you have any needs, please come forward as we stand and sing this invitation song.